very special guest here with us tonight, with a career spanning over 30 years and worldwide fans, including myself. It's a pleasure to introduce to you the legendary rock icon, Wilbur Johnson. So, Wilbur, you're someone who usually manages to stay in the spotlight. I haven't seen much of you lately. What have you been up to?
Well, doing a lot of soul searching, looking into the industry and seeing where music's headed.
Oh, so you're getting into disco?
Well, quite the opposite, actually.
What do you mean?
All I mean to say is I'm done.
Done with what, exactly?
All of it. Music, fame, all of it.
Well, to understand where Wilbur Johnson could be, we have to look back at where he's been. Growing up, Wilbur Johnson was a pretty reserved guy. He liked to stay at home most of the time, just hang out with his dog Slappy. He really cared a lot about his appearance. He made sure to always keep up with the latest trends as best as he could. Then on Christmas morning in 1952, Ray and Betty Johnson bought Wilbur his first guitar, and that's when everything changed. Soon Wilbur would be embarking on his musical journey.
So you're just gonna throw it all away? Your whole career?
All of it.
Wow, I mean, music has been a big part of your life for forever. I mean, you remember the old days?
Yeah, I mean, I got my start with Slappy Jensen and the Pancake Crew, and we had a good run, but it all started to get very cheesy. I mean, Milkman stole my Letterman jacket. It just didn't sit well with me.
Yeah, but then you started your own band, right?
Yeah, Willie B and the One Hand Band. That was a lot of fun. We had a lot more fans than the last band, and but I mean, you know, some things just aren't meant to last.
Unfortunately, the One Hand Band would never make it to their prime. In 1959, the band was offered a chance to fly with Buddy Holly and Ritchie Valens. And if it wasn't for Wilbur's fear of flying, he would have died with them when that plane crashed. This left Wilbur with tremendous survivor's guilt, and it's what propelled him into his drug-fueled years in the 60s.
So speaking of things that didn't last, what was your time like in the aunties and uncles?
Those were crazy days. A lot of sex, a lot of drugs, but I think I was mainly just trying to find myself, like everyone else at the time.
Was that the only thing you were doing in the band?
Well, we don't need to talk about her.
After his affair with the lead singer of the Aunties and Uncles, Wilbur went solo. And it was during this time that Wilbur accidentally created one of the most iconic moments in music history.
So can you tell me about the Ed Sullivan rumors? Are those true?
Yes, I was supposed to do a guest performance back in '64, but I got sick and I had to cancel. It felt terrible, but luckily, Ed was able to find a replacement. They just so happened to be the Beatles.
In the latter half of the 1960s, Wilbur shifted his focus from trying to find himself to finding the perfect band. In 1968, he met drummer Flex Hexagon and his guitarist buddy Nuke. And after the discussion of possibly starting a new band, they met bassist John Silverton, and Mama Zebra was born.
So the Ed Sullivan Show, that wasn't the only thing you missed out on.
What, do you mean Woodstock?
Yeah, why wasn't Mama Zebra there?
Well, it's kind of a long story.
As the story goes, Wilbur wanted to put on a show in New York, but the Parks and Rec department wanted the show to have a few more acts. Wilbur wasn't happy about it, but he agreed.
The whole thing's a real shame. I mean, what was supposed to be just a few guest acts ended up being 32 guest acts, and by that point, it wasn't even a Mama Zebra show at all. So we left.
soon he saw another change in Wilbur's image. He started to shy away from his hippie persona and wandered into a more rebellious style. From there, the band produced a couple more albums and started to perform at smaller venues.
But it seems like you've finally found a home for your music. You're coming off the most successful decade you've had yet, and you're just gonna stop? It's the 80s. I mean, music's headed in a new direction.
Yeah, it's kind of why I'm stopping. People seem to forget what good music is, and I don't want to be a part of what it's becoming.
So then, what comes next for you? What are you gonna do after this?
And that's when it happened. That was the last time anyone saw Wilbur Johnson. People seem to have forgotten he ever existed. Even people like myself or his biggest fans have no idea where he is or what he's doing. We only know the legend of Wilbur Johnson.